I had this woman, she's a three-time B2B CMO. She's now a partner at a B2B go-to-market agency, has worked with hundreds of mid-market B2B companies. And she said, the biggest change agent inside of a company is the voice of the customer. We can all have our own independent opinions and ideas and ways to grow revenue 20%, but there's one customer truth.
Absolutely.
And so that begets another question for you, which is, how do you get at one customer truth?
For sure. I think that you have to be really crisp and clear on who your buyer is. And I think in this market in particular, and especially as AI makes content production and execution much more accessible and scalable, you have to be extremely crisp on who you are talking to. You're not going to have one customer truth if you're trying to talk to 10 different people. Who is your actual ideal customer profile, and how are you boiling that down? I think it's a combination of multiple factors you're bringing together into aligning what's the most important thing to solve for them. You have to bring in actual recorded conversations with clients, whether that's through sales calls or meeting notes or whatever that might be. I still feel like quantitative surveys are underrated. Get a broad-based view into what that audience is thinking and feeling and believing. And then I think the third one is market trends. How are people talking about it to their teams on their stages, at their conferences, and their media notes? Combining those three things together, I think, gives you a pretty crystal view, but it's not going to work if you're trying to be that for everybody. You have to, in this market in particular, be extremely crisp about who you're talking to. The noise is just going to get louder if we're not very clear and pointed on where we're trying to go.
So I wanted to run something by you. So we're in the middle of a series right now on the revenue logic of customer obsession.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the CROs said, Steve, we're not in enough of the right rooms at the right time with the right people asking the right questions. This is the CRO saying this, right? And I said, what about all your sales conversations? And it was a little bit of a loaded question because we had talked about this before in the prep call. He had said earlier, he said, today in the sales conversations, the buyer is waiting longer and longer to want to talk to us. And it's after they've established their short list, they're in a validation mode. So all of that, those insights that we love to get around how they frame their problem, how they think about their problem, how they prioritize their problem, what kind of resources they think they even need against their problem, what kind of timelines do they associate with it, everything that makes it BANT qualifier. But if we're not in those kind of conversations that happen earlier in the buyer's journey, he said, our conversations are harder to get, they're fewer and farther between, and they're shorter when they happen. So that's what's happening to those conversations in an environment where it's at the very tail end of the buyer journey, a validation process. How do we get more conversations? Most CMOs, when we start a new job, what do? We call up customers. Hey, it's not a sales conversation. I'm here to learn, right? I'm new. I'd love to learn. Or CAB meetings. We come out of CAB meetings. We're like, oh my goodness, that was so incredible, right? How do we get more of that?
Yeah.
Because to your point, this is the way that you define the very outcomes that your company is after.
I mean, I think for us, it's a focus on relationships and it's playing the long game. So if you're focused on sales conversations, I think you're automatically focused on the wrong thing. It is a difficult job as marketers that we are always balancing long-term reputation and being top of mind with those more really specific conversion metrics that happen at that tail end of the journey that you mentioned. But they pay dividends when you focus on both of them together. If you focus on the long term, and we're focused very much on building relationships with clients and having them look to us as a trusted partner and having conversations towards solving those problems, it's very possible and real that your problem right now, we can't help you solve. And that's okay. We're happy to refer somebody else in that can help you. We're happy to just have the conversation and lend an ear. Because then eventually when you do have that problem, that relationship already exists and we've already given before we've gotten. I always say, at least in professional services, you can't manufacture a need, right? In B2C, it's a little bit easier. You can play with ethos and you can manufacture a need for shoes. You can't manufacture a need for transaction services or finance transfer pricing, but you do have those relationships in your back pocket. So you are there when they are ready or when they're talking to their colleague who is ready. And that's really going to be the name of the game. Again, especially as the noise becomes louder and AI compresses the ability to create content into something that anybody can do, those relationships are going to be what takes you to the bank because you aren't going to be able to manufacture that with machines.